Namaskar, viewers. Welcome to New2 Live Talk. This is Questions of Life, and you are watching New2 Germany. Viewers, we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Surekha Tiwari ji. She is a psychological counselor from India, and she is treating people in India and abroad. Uh, Today, we have a very special session in a relationship which is called domestic violence. So it's a very important topic, and I think Dr. Surekha, you are the best person who can address it. Most welcome, and show is yours.
Oh, thank you. Mm, this is a topic which is, I think, which needs to be talked about the most. And for various reasons, it is talked about the least. And it is often talked about when generally it is very late.
Mhm.
People don't approach, people don't talk about this. Everybody knows, but somehow it is something which I think the victim keeps on feeling that there is going to be another day.
Mhm.
And the perpetrator or the person who is doing the violent actions keeps on thinking that this is the last time I've hit. But it never stops. So before I go on to literally the technical part of it, I would like to first distinguish between what is domestic violence and what is violence. Violence as a action, violence as a thought can be between any people. When you see two groups of people fighting, when you see two strangers fighting on the road, when you
Mhm.
see somebody hitting, murdering, calling names, everything, that's all violence. The moment we add the word domestic to this sentiment of violence,
Mhm.
we are talking about violence which is perpetrated, which is conducted by your intimate relationship. Now, intimate relationship is not always a spouse.
Mhm.
It can be the extended family of the spouse. It
Okay.
can be your child. It can
Mhm.
be your brother, sister. It can be anybody.
It's so
But
broader.
domestic, yes, domestic violence is a very broad term. Domestic violence includes relationships who are in your intimate contact. That
Hmm.
is your first thing. If your neighbor comes and hits you, it's not called domestic violence.
Okay. People living
Living
within the
together
house.
or in your environment, people who are visiting you, but they should be related by. See, in this talk, I want to make very sure that the viewers understand that as much as I'm talking about the psychological part of it, I will also like to shed some light on the legal aspect, because
Mhm.
this is a very serious matter. This is
Yes.
not just about physical injury.
Mhm.
It is a lot about that psychological dent which never actually fills up.
Mhm.
It can change your thought process to believe that you are not worthy. And
Okay.
that makes the rest of your life very, very, very miserable. So, as a psychological counselor, as somebody who's a part of society, and as somebody who believes that I can contribute whatever little I can, but let it be constructive, then I am going to make sure that this topic is dealt with in every angle possible.
Amazing.
So now we come to the part violent. So domestic, we've understood, is about from intimate relationships, people who are related to you. Now, what is violence? Violence is not about always hitting somebody.
Mhm.
Violence is also verbal abuse of a very, very low category is also violence. Not giving you your freedom or your space is also considered domestic violence. I've had few cases coming into me where the husband or the wife took away the passport of the spouse
Oh.
and said, you cannot leave the country without my uh, knowledge or without my permission. I've had people coming into me where they've kept the passport of the spouse so that the spouse could not carry the child to meet the grandparents in
Oh.
another country.
Mental torture.
Oh, yes. So, what, as you use right word, it is a torture of a kind, and it need not always be physical. We think थप्पड़ नहीं मारा
Yeah.
तो चलो चलता है.
Hmm.
Lekin if you've done enough damage apart from just hitting, then it is equivalent to damage,
Hmm.
right? So that's one part of it, right? Wonderful. Right? Now, how do we deal with it? How does it all start?
Mm-hmm.
How does it all start? But it's a very, very small little thing where you are married or you're newly married, you've newly met the family,
Yeah.
and obviously you don't know their culture, they don't know yours. So
Yeah.
both the people are trying to understand each other. They are trying to get into the groove with each other.
With each other. Yeah.
And one day the person just shakes you and says that, why can't you do this? You say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, oh God, you've never done this before. Why are
Yeah.
you done doing this? Oh, okay, no, 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 no. I was very angry. I didn't know what to
Yeah.
do. I came back from office. I was very frustrated, and my day went very bad. And I had a tiff with my boss. So there could be thousand small reasons given to you.
Excuses and all.
That is one incident. Then a few days, a week later, 10 days later, you again see the glimpse of the same bad, uncontrolled
Hmm.
temper.
Hmm.
And you know that this person, when things don't go the way he or she wants them to go,
Hmm.
he or she reacts in a overreactive way.
Yeah.
That so much of reaction is not required.
Hmm.
Every one of us has seen enough life before we get married, so we
Mm-hmm.
understand that this is a normal thing. Okay, it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel bad, it's okay to feel angry, it's okay to feel frustrated,
Mm-hmm.
but how much of it do you radiate to the other person is the relationship of the responsibility, right? There is a responsibility in every relationship. So you say
Yes.
that within the relationship you cannot cross this line. Then a few more days pass by, and then you start realizing that as the familiarity in the relationship starts beginning,
Yep.
you start seeing that the other person has started using names.
Okay.
So yeah, he or she just starts abusing. And believe me, Shraddha, I actually, on all your shows, I must be sounding like an anti-feminist, but I do not use any gender specific description here, because yes, it is said, statistics say that 37% of marriages have violence. Out of that, 18% of that violent spirit is from men. But I say that, okay, fine, we are still having the rest of it as women also.
Yeah.
And there are enough number of women uh, who can incite so much reaction. So we will
Hmm.
touch on it. There are a lot of layers to this topic. So anyway, so as we go forward, we realize that as familiarity keeps on developing in the relationship, the control over the good behavior starts slipping,
Hmm.
and the violence will. Right now we're not talking about violence, we're just talking about bad behavior, we're talking about aggressive actions, we are
Okay.
talking about bad language.
Hmm.
We can see signs of a person who's not able to hold his temper, who's not able to hold his words, who just passes on all the frustration of the day to you, and he
Just
keeps on.
crossing the line.
Correct. So
Hmm.
first always it happens with words. And as the allowance to this, in terms of, when we all get married, we use this word called adjustment.
Adjustment.
Adjustment is a very adjustable word. It's a very adjustable word. We do not know where tolerance ends and intolerance should
Starts.
begin. It should start. Where do you draw the line? Where do you say? That's why in this topic, when I wrote that, anger, abuse, any kind of words, where do you draw the line?
Hmm.
Where do you say that, nay, this is not permissible? And if we do not recognize these early signs, the person who is the one who's incapable of controlling his actions, emotions, words, starts getting more and more physical.
So, doctor, drawing a line from both sides. Like who is
Correct.
creating and who
Yeah.
is bearing this everything.
Very true. Very true. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Where do you draw the line? See, I'm a working woman. You're a working woman. And I'm very sure that 80% of our audience will be working women or men.
Yeah,
So
of
we
course.
all have a life. We all have a life outside our control. We have a work life areas in which we do not know all the people, and all the people are not good or nice to us. So we're not in resonance with them. So
Yeah.
there are those people. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have a commute every day. You can have some bad co-passenger, you can have a bad car passing through. So the reasons to lose your temper, the reasons for having a bad mood can be just you name it and it can be there.
Yeah.
But for it to translate into violence at home, there must be a beginning. And I would first, all my viewers, please start recognizing those signs in the beginning. Who are
Hmm.
these people who get violent? Who are the people who you think can really cross the line? These are those people, A, who have a very, very low esteem.
Yeah.
What are they trying to do? They are trying to gain control over you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why do they need to control? Because if they are not in control, they feel controlled. So
Inferiority complex.
correct. So if I am not the one controlling, then I am being controlled. So the concept of equality, the concept of coexistence has not been bred in them from their
Hmm.
families. And
Hmm.
this I wholly, solely, completely blame on their family cultures.
Yeah.
A child who sees his father drinking every evening thinks alcoholism is normal.
Yeah.
A child who sees his mother getting boyfriends home feels it's okay to be promiscuous. A girl child who sees her mother not cooking for the family thinks it is okay
Yes.
not to be the food provider at home. So
Hmm.
that's what I said again and again, that this subject has many layers.
Yes.
So this person, whoever is going to be the perpetrator, is going to be somebody who has a very low self-esteem. That's
Mm-hmm.
number one.
One. Yeah.
The second thing is, when we are angry, we tend to hit a chair.
Yeah.
We throw
Some
things.
some
We
people.
throw
Yes.
things. Yeah. You bang the door, or you bang your wrist on the table and say, "I want to make a point," and you do it, right? These are also people who think that their spouses are objects, what is known as objectifying the subject.
Oh.
They think that this person can be used to bang off my anger. And somewhere, when the first time the slap happened, when the first time the push happened, when the
Right.
first time the pull happened, at that time itself, it should set the ringing alarms in the head that do what you have to. You can't hit or touch. And this is the watershed. If at this time you've stopped, if
Hmm.
at this time you've drawn the line,
Hmm.
you've done it. But if it is not stopped after the first go, it becomes an accepted, it becomes a way of life, and it also becomes a pardon each time. Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
हो गया.
Very simple to say sorry.
हाँ,
I
yeah.
love
And the
you.
first,
After that, I
हाँ,
love you very much.
and what starts happening in 90% of the cases is that when you hit the first time, you think, has he actually hit me? Has she actually pinched me? And then the
Mhm.
person comes and says, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I love you so much. You're the only thing in my life, which is the best thing happened in my life. You're the only person I want to die with. You're the only person I love. And you suddenly become very, very generous.
Yeah.
You feel like God because you're made to live like God. And then you forget. But very soon comes the next episode, and then the next, and then the next. And
Yeah.
beyond that time, once, if it has happened once too many times,
Mm-hmm.
even while you realize that no, this is wrong, but it becomes too late for you to stop it. Because then by that time the die is cast, the behavior
Yeah.
is already acceptable in his eyes, in
Mhm.
your eyes, and so this repetition will happen.
And taken for granted for the
So
next
this
step.
is so now this is where I say that this is just how I would describe it all progresses. So while I talk to the viewers and say this is how it will happen, I'll say first thing. Now we'll first talk about, since it's a short talk right now, I hope we will have another session on the same topic
Of course.
with a different viewpoint. But for today, I would like to tell my viewers two things. First, please learn to see the signs. Try and try and find those signs which say initially itself when you had the first hint in your head, is this behavior normal? Is this okay? Did this decibel level really be required for this dialogue? Was he or she fair? Is it okay? Once you start getting those rigging signs, then try and recognize those early signs. Because if you recognize those early signs and it is still not gone into stage two, where the first hit has happened, you may be able to stop it. Nobody hits someone who they perceive as a very strong person. I've always given this example in my counseling to such couples where they say that where the husband like comes home and says, "Oh, I'm very frustrated." Always ask the wife, "Has he ever hit his boss?" You say,
No.
"No, no, 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 no."
He'll lose the job then.
Correct. So that means they have enough control, right? Is there would be enough frustration if I say that my habit is to hit, so then I should be hitting everybody.
Yeah, of
But
course.
why am I choosing my spouse to hit but not the other people? And generally, you will find that because their esteem is very low, they always create an extremely good expression and impression outside. Shraddha, there is a statistics that 73% of such people who hit, when a survey was done in their workspace, 73% people will have an extremely friendly, over friendly persona
Yeah.
because they're so internally, they have such a bad inferiority complex about
Mhm.
themselves that outside they go out of their way
Mhm.
to create this Mr. Nice, Mr. Mrs. Nice image. So when somebody, they say, no, something is too good to be true. So you
Mhm.
must recognize the early signs. That's number one. Number two, all anybody and everybody who's listening to me, please tell your near friends about it. Do not think it is your fault. Make sure that somebody in the world knows that you are not really sure of what is happening.
Mhm.
You must do not keep it within yourself. This is the biggest mistake which people do. And out of shame, they do not tell anybody for a very long time till it is too late. And third, for anybody, and I really hope we are somewhere on top that anybody going through this for the first time, you have to raise an alarm. You have to create ruckus. To kill poison, poison is used. To kill violence, use noise. Use noise. Stop it in the first time. Don't allow it for the second time. If you allow it for the second time, then 20 times are following. And I love you, you love me, no problem. I am your God, you are my God, no problem. But you hit me, I hit you. Okay?
Very nice, Dr. Surekha ji. You just made it very simple, but I think in Indian society, Indian culture, whether we live in India or abroad, I think this atmosphere has created by the society within the family that the tolerance is all about to be bare by a female, like most of the cases which I have observed till now. But
Hmm.
this point is very broader because now the things has changed. Male and female both are having the powers. So depending upon that, who is really cares about the relationship is, I think, most sufferer. We can definitely discuss it later in the coming
Next
episodes.
topic.
You
Yes.
rightly said that you have just introduced only 2 points, and I'm already thinking of that we have not started yet.
Hmm. That's
So
what I said. It's a very, very broad topic. It's not something which you can first cover up very easily, and second, there are yards and yards to speak about in this topic because there is so much which is happening within the family life. And family, after you are married, your family is your anchor. I mean,
that's
your brothers, your sisters, your parents, by the definition of law, also, they are called extended family.
yeah.
If today you have to write all your family members, you will first write your name, your husband's name, your children's name.
Yeah, start
After
with the
that,
family
to
name and all.
whoever
Hmm.
whoever understood this, violence will not happen because you do not ever grow and break your foundations.
Thank you so much, Dr. Surekha ji.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
hope that our viewers would write to us. And we have an email ID, anjana.singh at uh, new2app.com. And also, they can get your contact number, which would be mentioned in the
I have
description
one
box.
appeal from anybody who's
Please.
listening, and God forbid is rocking in this boat. Please write to us anonymously.
Yes.
Please write to us in any form. And we promise that we will be there in any way that we can be. You are not alone. Don't feel alone. Don't give up.
That's so nice of you, Dr. Surekha. And viewers, this is your channel. New to Germany is always all about raising your problems and taking the solutions with the, the psychological counselors like Dr. Surekha Tiwari. We will meet definitely next week and we will discuss this topic furthermore. And till the
Sure.
time, you please take care of yourself. Thank you so much for coming in
Thank
our
you.
show, Dr. Surekha.
Thank
And
you.
namaskar. Bye bye. Dhanyawad.